Morning, everyone. Very happy to be here. Uh, Great to meet some people that I've met before. Jeff, Barry, Yoza, Janet. Always good to see you guys. SIPO reached out to me a little while ago and said, would I be interested in doing a talk at Invequity's Investor Roadshow? Very, very surprised this early on. As Jeff said, we've been involved with Invequity for just over a year now. So didn't think it would be this soon, but very glad that it is. Please excuse me, I'm going to be referring to my notes because I cannot see the actual computer screen. So I'm going to go off this very, very quickly because I don't like looking at myself. Okay. So my name is Farhad Bhyat. I'm one of the co-founders of Farosian. The other co-founder is actually sitting over there in the table next by Rudy, Sinead. We started the business in 2015. And started off with just me and her working out of a 45 square meter little townhouse, doing all of our reports in Microsoft Word, specifically for HR and recruitment purposes. Over the years, we've grown a lot, where now we have different applications in HR, recruitment, finance, forensic investigations. We do a lot of lifestyle audits on the social media side of things. A little bit about me. This is because of our head of marketing. She loves doing these things. So I'm a cat dad, which is not true. Very much into weight training and gym, and I love the Premier League. I have some of my team on here just to sort of cover some space, but as I said, Sinead is there. I see the other two have disappeared. Oh, there we go. There's Rebecca. Rebecca is our quality assurance manager, and Danielle, I don't know where she's vanished to. She's our head of sales. In the early days, as I said, it was just Sinead and myself. We are now a team of 19 people in total. Just a little bit of our roadmap. So I'm not going back to the beginning in 2015. That's too much to go through. But in 2020, we became the winner of the Grindstone Accelerator Program, cohort number 5, which was quite a big achievement for us. In 2021, we were nominated as one of the top 12 big data companies, as well as won the second runner-up in the Africa Tech Week for Best Tech Startup. In 2023, we started expanding quite aggressively, or what we believe aggressively, internationally. We got our first North American client being AccuSource HR, which is the 4th biggest background screener in North America, as well as expanding beyond sort of Africa and North America and acquiring a few customers in India. In 2025, as you all know, we started working with Invequity, which is one of the best things that's actually ever happened to us. And I actually just will point out, that's all because of Rudy Kruger from B1 SA. Rudy introduced us to everyone at Invequity. Rudy and I go back since 2018 in his previous life days. And in November 2025, we achieved our SOC 2 and ISO certification, which is quite a big deal, specifically when we're trying to penetrate into the North American markets. A little bit of information on us of sort of where we've come from, where we're going. Our work is consumed in over 30 countries throughout the world. Colombia, North America, Namibia, Botswana, India, Romania, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Dubai. So we've got quite a wide footprint. The beauty of the internet, as long as we have an internet connection, we can do work. Actually, one of my developers is in Swaziland. My head of marketing who put this together for me, she's in Cape Town. We've got people scattered all throughout the country. And for a while, our previous head of marketing used to work out of Mozambique. So our footprint is not restricted by many things. During the 2025 year, 66,700 reports were completed, but that is a 21% increase on the previous year. And to date, since we started the business, almost 500,000 unique individuals we have screened. And I use that very specifically, purely because we very often get repeat requests on people. You'd be surprised at how often people job hop just in South Africa, let alone in the US. For example, this morning, I checked all of our work that came in from AccuSource, and 80% of the work that we received yesterday evening from them is repeat requests. So achieving close to 500,000 unique people, I think, is quite an achievement for us. But why Sipho and Invequity and Jeff and Murray have asked me to be here is we're doing a lot of work with AI. So I've been asked to come and sort of explain how we're using it and how I think people can use it to make sure that AI isn't just a tool to make your lives a little bit easier in terms of working, but it becomes a tool that can create some sort of financial inclusion for everyone. So we hear a lot about ChatGPT. Jeff was alluding to Claude. I use Claude quite a lot. But that's one side of AI. We've all been bombarded with it, of using ChatGPT for this, fixing some stuff on your Excel spreadsheet, generating some images. But instead of asking the question, what is AI? The real question should be, what does it do? Okay, because we know it as mainly generative AI, but AI can do a lot more. AI is the new technological revolution that's taken place. And every technological revolution creates three things, or three things happen with it. Who creates the value, who owns the value, and then who can participate in the value that's created. If we look at who creates value, think of, if we go back long before AI, when we look at the introduction of something like the loom, right? The loom made the machine operator matter more than the master weaver. The introduction of electricity created an electrical engineer. And the internet made sure that software engineers are some of the most valuable people on the planet. Okay. The value moves from doing the work to directing the machine. So it's something I say within our business a lot, that I don't want our people doing work. I want them making decisions, and AI can help do that. Now, if we graduate from who creates the value to who owns the value, they're two very different things. The Industrial Revolution didn't just make weavers wealthy, it made the factory owners wealthy. Because otherwise those master weavers would have been retired long before. The internet's value didn't spread evenly. Okay. What landed up happening is the value was held, it was concentrated in the hands of the platform owners. Twitter, Facebook, Microsoft, all the tech companies, but excludes a large amount of people from it. So the biggest part of it is, it's not about who creates it or who owns it, but who gets to participate in it. Every revolution has an inside and an outside. Some people are pulled into the growth, and other people, most people, are just spectators on the outside of the growth. Okay? Especially in a country like South Africa. The gap that's created in that exclusion of that growth, of not participating in it, is a gap that can land up lasting for many, many generations. So introducing AI in a way that allows the participation becomes essential. We need to create, we need to own it, and we need to participate, or include participation of people in it. AI isn't just a technology story, so I've got some big numbers here. Okay. McKinsey & Company estimates that very shortly, AI is going to create between 2.6 and 4.4 trillion dollars in an economy. Now, for some perspective, the high end, the 4.4, is the GDP of the UK. And that's going to be created annually. But another number to pay more attention to is the 75%. The majority of the value being created by AI, or the spend on AI, is in 4 business areas, being customer operations, sales and marketing, software engineering, and research and development. So as I've already said before about the concentrating of the value, you can already see right here, the value is already being concentrated. Now, all of us here, whether we've named it or not, it's the same technology that we have 2 very different strategies that can be implemented with it. The first road, you can use AI to do old things quicker, cheaper, or more efficiently. Okay? Put my spreadsheet into Claude and say, I don't know this formula, put this formula in for me. Instead of going and learning and going on different Excel programs to learn how all the different formulas work. That does create value. The issue with it is, it puts it in fewer hands. Right? It's got an endpoint of the value that's being created. You'll end up building a 2-speed economy, and a 2-speed economy is fragile. The other road is to use AI as an on-ramp, to use it to bring more participants into the fold. So I'm going to speak to this in terms of how we're using it. We're using it from both aspects, and I'll give you a very quick example. As an amplifier, I'm a non-technical founder. Couldn't code to save my life. But, as I was telling Rudy this morning, because of AI, I was able to build a platform in 48 hours that is now generating 20 to 50,000 Rand a month recurring revenue for us as a non-technical person. So I've used it as an amplifier, but also as an on-ramp. We're using it to try and include more people into the sector. Okay. It's allowing us to be able to see people who were invisible before, see things that were invisible before. The biggest return in the AI economy won't come only from doing old things faster. It comes from making new participants economically visible and serving them. Okay. So how does the old economy work? Basically, for 100 years, the economy is run on one quiet rule. If the system can see you, you exist. If it doesn't see you, you don't exist. Very, very simple. Think about what actually lives behind that rule. Trust, reputation, creditworthiness, integrity. All of these things that we make our biggest decisions on has been locked behind a single barrier. The cost and difficulty of seeing it is just too high. The person with no credit file isn't risky. There's just no information on them. You don't know if they're risky or not yet. The honest employee whose integrity you cannot verify carries an asterisk that can never be earned. The system simply couldn't look closely enough, cheaply enough, or at enough people, because we don't have the capability of the scale. Which means, for the first time, we can do 2 things that we couldn't do before. Once you see value that was once invisible, you can do 2 things with it. And each one of them is a product that we've built or busy building. So you can either protect it, or you can include it. The first is to protect, to defend the value organizations are quietly losing to risks that they never saw coming. So, as Jeff mentioned, of the work that we're engaged in is assessing digital and online risk of people. What we're in the process of building is something called Farosian Lens, which is a continuous monitoring system that operates at scale. The second is to include, to create value by serving people and businesses the old system couldn't assess. So we have two products, one idea. AI turns invisible value into value that can economically be acted on. So when I want to touch on the Farosian Lens in terms of the protect aspect. At the moment, we live in an AI-saturated world. A company's reputation no longer moves at the speed of a quarterly review. It moves at the speed of your feed. And any of you who use Twitter regularly will know that feed moves very, very, very quickly. The Farosian Lens uses AI to continuously monitor the digital and social risk signals that touch your brand, your reputation, and the conduct of the people who act in your name. Instead of doing a once-a-year review or audit, it allows you to check this at any point in time. From a micro level, it protects the single most valuable, fragile asset most companies own. The intangible one, the brand, the trust. It's the majority of the modern enterprise value. And a single integrity failure caught too late can erase years of effort in a day. If I remember correctly, Warren Buffett's quote is, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 10 minutes to ruin it. In a digital age, 10 minutes is a lifetime. It's more like a few seconds now. But from a macro level, trust is the economic infrastructure. When institutional trust holds, capital is cheaper and investment flows. Protect integrity across enough organizations and you get a more stable, more investable economy built one company at a time. Now, when we start looking at the other aspect of it, we've got some big numbers here on the screen, right? The World Bank, some of their data shows that there are 1.3 billion people who are thin file or credit invisible across the planet. In South Africa, we're looking at more around the region of 16 million people that are thin file or credit invisible. That's a huge amount of people. That's an enormous opportunity for inclusion that's being missed out on. These 16 million people aren't people who are high risk. They're just people who nobody knows anything about. They're just completely unseen. They could be informal workers. They could be university graduates who just don't have a credit card and they've got their job where they're bartending or working as a barista and get paid in cash, and that's it. That doesn't mean that they're risky people. No data means no score. No score means no decision. And no decision means no access, which is creating an exclusionary environment. No access means there's no way to ever build a real record that can make them visible in the first place. It's a trap. Overall, it's a trap. Yeah, some people will eventually have a pay slip and they'll be able to go to the bank and get a 2,000 Rand limit on a credit card, and it becomes a very long process. But what percentage of those 16 million people do you think falls in that category? A very small amount. So the real question becomes, can we see them another way? So what we're busy building is what we call the Farosian Digital Credit Platform. For 100 years, lenders have asked one simple question. What does the Bureau say? And for 16 million South Africans, the answer is they say nothing because they don't know you exist. Okay. And that's where the conversation ends. Where we're asking a different question. What does a person's consented, responsible digital footprint tell us about their likelihood to repay? AI turns that footprint into a single decision-ready risk score. Where there was silence, we can now provide an answer. It becomes a cycle. Consented footprint is step 1. Step 2, converting it into a score. 3, a lender then trusts you enough to grant a small amount of responsible credit to you. From there, the person repays, and here's where it gets even more interesting. With every repayment, or even non-repayment, we're creating real history. And then the model readjusts itself, and the model becomes more accurate over time to have higher levels of predictability. Now, I know there's a lot of financial people here in this room. So the real question becomes to you, does it actually work? Now, I'm going to just run through this very, very quickly and then give you an example. First thing I'll start with is AUC. We did a dry run the other day, and Jeff and Sipa pointed out a very good point. Not many people know what AUC means. It's a term that credit bureaus use that it just means area under the curve. It is a benchmarking system. It's a predictive system that they use. It's something that it's a calculation number that actuaries come up with. Okay. Now I use this because I'm trying to put something into perspective here. An AUC of 1 means 100% accurate predictability. Credit bureaus use an AUC of between 0.75 and 0.85. And that is for people like me with a 20-year track record of payment or non-payment history that the bureaus can track. So if you're one of those 16 million people, it's a bit discriminatory in the way that this is done to be able to provide prediction in terms of your ability to be involved in the credit market. So what we've built is something that has an AUC of 0.65 up to 0.73. And I say that. I've gone with the lower end on the scale here for a reason. We've done some work through relationships that Jeff and Invequity have with a financial services provider. And we've proved that their delinquent short-term lending clients, we were able to predict on the high end of 80% that they would become delinquent. And the ones who were positive paying and good customers, it was also between 0.65 up to 0.72 in terms of the predictability of it. Now, someone who's thin file just has a score of 0, right? So surely there should be some sort of midpoint towards this. And where this comes in is our work that we did has been on a very small scale. The data that I have on screen, some of you may have heard of the company. It's a South African company called Omniscient. Okay. Omniscient takes consumer spending data and they use it as alternative data for some type of credit scoring on their end. 8 million previously unseen people, they were able to provide some sort of rating for 3.2 million of them. It showed a 41% lift in terms of the Gini lift, in terms of the initial scoring of the people. But more interestingly, in the article, the bank isn't disclosed. It is a South African bank. But the bank's revenue increased in their credit sector or credit department by 29% by adding 3.2 million people. Now, we're not talking 29% of 10 million or 20 million. I'm pretty sure that the banks use much higher revenue figures. So it becomes a significant income generating tool and financial inclusion tool. We have three ideas. AI is the engine. It's the first technology that's powerful enough to see the value that was always invisible: reputation, integrity, and creditworthiness. Inclusion is the destination. Seeing the value is just the start. The prize is bringing previously unseen people and institutions into the value creation process. And for us, we believe Farosian is the bridge, enabling us to be able to protect and include people from both aspects. So, why does this matter? Normally, you're forced to choose. You're forced to choose between a commercial return on one side and participation on the other side. It's basically choosing between, do you want to do well, or do you want to do just okay? What AI makes possible, and what Farosian is being built to capture, is the case where they point in the same direction. The way our business is growing is by bringing more people to be seen, more institutions into the value system. Broader participation isn't the cost of growth in the AI era, it's the source of it. Every revolution decides who creates, who owns, and who participates. This one will decide much faster than any of the other revolutions before it. And that part of it is still unwritten. Thank you very much.